Black Star universe, where shadows breathe, legends rise, and nothing is ever as it seems. If you've walked these paths before, welcome back, fam. You already know what it is. Today, I've got one last character to unveil before we dive into the present-day stories. From here on out, every hero will have their own section on my YouTube channel. Dedicated storylines you can follow, grow with, and lose yourself in. And don't get it twisted, what I've shared so far. Just a glimpse. There's an entire universe locked away, waiting to unfold. If you've been vibing with the work so far, you're definitely going to want to subscribe. Things are about to escalate. I was debating on dropping a full world introduction, but nah, not yet. The mystery's part of the fun. So for now, step into the shadows and meet Nigel Spade, the Wurchi Badger. That's Wurchi the speed fused with Badger ferocity and apex predator wrapped in silence and precision. Master assassin, hunter of hunters. Let's get into it.
Born in 1989, Nigel Spade was the heir to a legacy steeped in secrecy and shadow. The Spade family, known for their long-standing association with the Wurchi Badger Assassin Society, had trained their children in the deadly arts as they were old enough to walk. Nigel, a full-blooded Wurchi Badger, was no exception. From an early age, he was molded into an elite warrior, taught to kill with precision and stealth, never questioning the reasons behind the targets. His instincts for combat and strategy were sharp, and his innate Wurchi Badger powers, heightened senses, strength, and agility made him a natural prodigy. Growing up, Nigel's world was one of discipline, danger, and secrecy. The rigorous training of the Society's three-tiered program began when he was just a child. By the time he reached adolescence, he had mastered a wide array of skills, hand-to-hand combat, weapons training, and the art of infiltration. His transformation into a full-fledged assassin was quick, his abilities honed to the point where he could take down his targets with ruthless efficiency. Yet, despite his cold exterior, there was an undeniable sense of morality embedded in his core. He killed only those he deemed deserving, and never without cause. As Nigel matured, he became increasingly skilled in tracking and eliminating supernatural threats, particularly vampires, whom he viewed as the greatest danger to humanity. His reputation within the Society grew, and by his early 20s, he had earned the coveted title of Master Assassin, a rare honor. His missions spanned across the globe, often requiring him to work alone, though he occasionally formed temporary alliances with other hunters. However, no matter the mission, Nigel always followed one rule. He never let emotions cloud his judgment. He was efficient, precise, and cold, the perfect instrument of death. His life would change, however, when he was selected for a top-secret mission. The Wurchi Badger Assassin Society had partnered with a covert military unit known for taking on high-stakes, supernatural threats. The mission was simple on paper: infiltrate a vampire coven suspected of orchestrating a series of attacks across the country. The unit, composed of highly trained operatives, was a mix of human and supernatural agents. Among them was Munra, a legendary warrior whose reputation preceded him, an expert in Krav Maga, ninjutsu, and armed combat. Nigel had heard stories of Munra's unyielding skill in battle, but they had never met in person until now. From the moment they joined forces, Munra and Nigel were pushed into a harrowing and dangerous world where survival was the only priority. The mission was a success initially as they infiltrated the vampire's compound. But things quickly went wrong. The unit was ambushed by a far larger vampire force than anticipated. Surrounded on all sides by enemies, Munra fought valiantly, holding the line as the rest of the team was slowly overwhelmed. In the chaos, Munra gave Nigel one more to fall back. Nigel, still only knowing himself as a highly trained human soldier, reluctantly obeyed, retreating to regroup. He had no idea that this simple command would cost his comrades their lives. By the time he returned, the team had been wiped out. Only Munra and a handful of enemies remained. Munra, bloodied and battle-worn, had kept the vampires at bay, but was forced to retreat after he realized the scale of the ambush. He never knew that Nigel, in the moments after the retreat, had undergone a dramatic transformation. Alone outside the compound, Nigel's Werewolf Badger form finally came to the forefront, his latent supernatural powers flaring to life. He felt a surge of primal energy, his senses heightened to an almost unbearable degree. The dark, unrelenting rage from seeing his comrades slaughtered mixed with the surge of power. Nigel fought with a ferocity he had never known, eliminating every last vampire in a whirlwind of brutal strength, speed, and violence. In his Werewolf Badger form, he was unstoppable, his claws and fangs tearing through the vampire hordes with terrifying ease. When the dust settled, Nigel found himself standing amidst the bodies of the fallen vampires, the remnants of his fallen comrades still haunting him. He was left with nothing but guilt and a sense of emptiness. Monra had not known what Nigel had truly been capable of. The full extent of his Werewolf Badger powers remained a secret. However, the bloodbath had unleashed something in Nigel, something darker and more powerful than he had ever imagined. His grief, guilt, and rage became the driving forces behind his transformation into a relentless hunter, one who would stop at nothing to hunt down the vampire clan that had taken his comrades. The night of the massacre was a turning point. It was no longer just about completing missions or following the Assassin's Code. It was about vengeance, about wiping out the very creatures that threatened humanity. But as Nigel honed his skills, something changed. No longer was it just a weapon the Werewolf Badger Assassin Society had created. He had become something more, a force of nature, a ruthless, unstoppable hunter, driven by his need to avenge his fallen comrades and prevent others from suffering the same fate. Though his relationship with Monra remained strained due to the events of that night, the two would cross paths again. Their alliance, while tentative, was built on respect, the recognition of shared goals, to eradicate the vampire menace once and for all. But for Nigel, the need for vengeance was a personal matter. Every vampire he killed brought him one step closer to his ultimate goal, the destruction of the vampire clan that had caused him so much pain. As he continued to hunt the supernatural and exact his vengeance, Nigel grew more isolated, his emotional walls thicker than ever. Yet, beneath the cold, calculating exterior, there was still the shadow of the young boy who had once been a mere heir to an assassin's legacy. The line between right and wrong had blurred, but in his mind, he was doing what had to be done. For Nigel, the hunt was never just about the thrill of the killed, it was about the lives that were lost, the ones he could never get back. And as the darkness of the supernatural world closed in on him, he would stop at nothing to bring an end to it all.
And that's just the beginning of Nigel Spade's story. Fast as fear, relentless as rage, he's one of many legends lurking in the Blackstone universe. If you're still here, you're not just watching, you're becoming part of this world. Make sure you hit that sub, turn on notifications, and stay locked in. Each character has their own path, their own chaos, and their own truth in. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, this is Leandre Timms. Stay sharp, stay curious, and welcome to the dark. Every morning when you wake up and stare into that mirror, understand this: the one staring back is your savior, your soldier, your comeback story. That reflection, that's the one who's gonna drag you out the dirt, wipe the blood off your face, and tell you, stand up, we ain't done yet. Keep pushing.